I guess we will call to order in, I don't know what time it is. You know what time it is?
4:33.
4:33, 3 minutes late to start. Okay, I have hard copies of the meeting we did last time because we were supposed to be recording. There was an issue with that, and, what'd you do?
One folder.
Well, his real estate folder. So can you read this? I'll have to send it to you.
So are we recording the whole meeting or not executive session?
Because we're only talking about putting together an evaluation, we're not talking about.
Like it's all
a
hypotheticals?
person.
Okay.
It's just a new tool to evaluate any director for, I don't know, how many years do they say this one was in place?
40?
Too many.
Too many. So, we're gonna hold off till, I don't know how, Karen sent me the, recap, and I couldn't quite figure out how to send it from my Mac, so maybe she can send it to us.
Okay. I'm pulling up the sample ones that I had saved.
Yeah. So, did you guys get a chance to think about what categories we want for evaluation?
Not as much. I just got back in the country Saturday night, so I was gone
Yeah.
for 2 weeks.
Yes, we do. I follow people. You saw one of my posts in Facebook or Instagram that, come on, people, you're on vacation. I saw what you did this morning. What do you have for supper? You know, start posting.
Yeah, it's been kind of quiet lately on there.
Yeah.
But yes,
So-
I was working.
So,
So,
go ahead.
again, it feels like that for evaluating the director, and I almost want to look at it like we never had it. Because we're gonna shred that one that we have, because we
Yeah.
don't like it. So the evaluation seems to be more like goal setting and keeping us kind of above the, as I thought, above the fray.
Yeah.
And having and the more I read about all the different evaluation stuff, the more it's like, trustees really need to stay out of the way of the director.
Right. Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how you, quote, stay out of the way of the director once you set her up for what you want.
Yeah.
And then evaluate that.
Well, no,
So
I think it's
it's us
easy.
to have a plan.
I think it's easy, and, the specifics aren't as important as how you see the progress. The page that, and I remember where this came from, I think it was from, you probably can't see it. When we talked about the evaluating the state of the library, evaluating direction, that was on the website. So traditionally, you're really evaluating the director, the person. And I think that the tool we've been using does that. So now they're saying people have gone to focusing on the library, which is kind of what we said when we did the last evaluation. That the buck stops here because she runs the library, she's responsible for a lot of the pieces. So is the library successful? Are they moving forward? Are they doing the right thing, or of these categories? So more like, look at the progress, look at this, the specifics, the budgets, the whatever. And questions in her, her filling them out. Is she doing that job? More than, the person, it's the building, it's the function of the library. So I think that that's what they recommend you doing, and that's what our mindset, I think what we're able to find out, again, is through the information that she gives us every trustee meeting, what questions we're asking her, how she's answering them, or the person next to it. As well as goals, that is a big deal, is like everything, that is where our piece comes in, I think, is to say, to really understand the goals of the library, any goals that we feel she should be having, and we still haven't submitted those for this current year. And, how that's going to evolve.
The other piece that I kept looking at when I was reading through evaluation stuff is we're evaluating how the director interacts with the staff. We don't want to get involved, we want to hear from her, we want to evaluate how she interacts with the town and the public.
Mm.
And the only way you would get a bad piece of that is that there was an issue.
Yeah.
And it's not tough to evaluate the interaction with the public and the town, but the staff piece, if there's an issue with staff, it goes to the director first.
Right.
And it should stay with the director pretty much, because as far as the library is concerned, we want to see how that facility is being handled and being run.
Right.
And-
But I think part of that we do see in her, what the information we get each trustees meeting, it's like, the reference piece.
Yeah.
Like, are people, letters to the library of who's happy or unhappy. So I think we do, ultimately get information about that over time. It's not gonna be a one incident thing. It's gonna be like, how is this every month?
Consistency.
Like, how many people are using the reference? Well, if how many people per day, if the amount of people that are going through, and it seems like they, each area reports on that. And that ultimately reflects on the library and the director, so, it is a very tricky thing. But I think we have to, decide on that first, is that the way we wanna go in focusing on the library like they suggest, or do we wanna still focus on the specific person? And like you say, a lot of that is confidential, and a lot of it, it's not measurable to see how exactly everyone that works here every day is. It's kind of like when they evaluate teachers, they go in like once or twice a year for an hour, and they're evaluating and all these things. It's so fake, because not only is the teacher not her normal self, the kids aren't. They're watching me, blah, blah, blah. It was always very false. So it has to, it's goal-oriented, but success on any piece that we want. So, I don't know. I'm gonna ask you what you sent me as the notes.
Yes.
Can you send them to Amy?
Sure.
I ran them off. I couldn't figure out how to do that from that to my Mac. It wasn't doing good, and I was trying to do it today. And then if we could just look at the notes and see, because we were supposed to film last time and we didn't. So we are going to do it now. And these are from the first meeting we had, so we have to submit these notes. So we want to approve them first.
Are those being sent right now? Should I be looking?
Yeah, sorry, what's your, oh, here we go, ajluminac@gmail.com?
Yes, please.
So I'm just gonna, it's got the whole thread of everything along with the attachment, just to be quicker.
Okay.
As soon as the attachment. Alright, that should be with you in a second.
Okay. Got it. have a question. Does anyone happen to know? Does the school committee evaluate the superintendent? Does the town council do an evaluation of the town administrator, et cetera?
Town council definitely does an evaluation of administrator. I don't know about the school committee.
Do you
I
know
would
if it's like
assume they do.
I would assume so. Do you know if it's
Yeah.
like a standardized form that they have that they use? I'd be curious.
I can ask, I don't know offhand.
Right,
But I-
well, it's usual Kevin or something.
But I know they do it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's, probably similar criteria that we would be looking at as well, that maybe we want to take a look at their forms as possible inspiration.
I'm not sure how similar it is, but any board evaluation of someone that's under the board's direction can probably provide some insight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the role is similar. We're the board and a lot of the tasks, and then I think the town council has more policy stuff than I think Catherine does. Because I think the policy stuff comes from us.
Yeah.
For Catherine. And I think the town administrator has more freelance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's, I mean, we could, but I think looking at ones that evaluate library directors are more useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back to the ones that we looked at last meeting. I think
Yeah.
you sent 3 or 4 around the table, and they were all not that unsimilar to what we had been using. I mean, they all, even the things that you're saying you want to get rid of, that's a little bit more personal, less building.
Yeah.
They all had that on there. They all had the, gets along with others type sections.
Yeah.
So I'd just be curious to see what's the norm elsewhere in Wakefield for similar setups where you've got a board that evaluates, hires, and, renews contracts of a administrative person.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say. I
Okay.
don't know if well, I mean, we can, but I don't know if it's really valuable.
Okay.
I think, this is my personal opinion, I think we're gonna do a better job of seeing what, as trustees, and we're overseeing the library as well, what do we need to know? Without getting into any personalities, without getting into anything that would be confidential or whatever, what do we know that's going to impede, we wanna know that nothing is impeding the library progress, and we wanna know that things are happening to progress the library progress. What questions do we wanna ask? Because we're not, just like a teacher, we're not gonna be there every day. We're seeing results, is all it is. We're seeing information of what's happened in the month, and we're seeing results. And so, and that's what we have to, I think we have to measure on that. So what questions do we wanna ask? What information do we want her to be giving us? And I feel, a lot of times at the meeting, I feel, information overload, so.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact answer to it. But if you look at the one that came from the website after that page that says board, and look, we don't have to talk necessarily specifically about human resources, but you can look at the vehicles that, that's what we talked about, that is library focused rather than personal focused. And I think it was on the same, I think it was from the website, and it was sample director evaluation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the most concise and seemed to be like level of patron satisfaction, awareness of community needs, things like that, that I think are more measurable from her information that she gives us each month. She always tells us what things she went to in town, what thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how we're measuring it, because we're not in everything in town, so like, how would we know? So she has to tell us all the committees she's on or everything like that, and I don't know if I've paid that much of attention to it, because I know she's visible. only from working events here. But maybe we need to look at more information when she gives it to us about that and know what comes under each group. I mean, my original plan was to look at, to really get an idea today about what categories we want. And then for each person to fill in what they think, the information they want, whether the question is from another evaluation, a sample evaluation, or if it's wording of our own, we'll all do that, but each person will take one section and champion it. So, you know, you're presenting number one, you're presenting number two, so that we're seeing all the different perspectives and working through it that way. And it would be nice to get it done by, you know, December, January, so that would be the more efficient way, I think. So on this page that, I didn't give you that, I'm sorry. That was your notes, and
I did actually remember it.
so this was from that one. And I don't know if that's the same. But we can certainly use different words. So if you look at let's look at these 5 things. And it's, first one's customer service and community relations. Like, what do we want? Is that we want to reword that? Is that something we want to eliminate? Is that something we want to keep? Or do we want to go to the old one and say what we want, how we want to word it?
So I am reading the on DESI, there is one for the superintendent. It's a standardized form, just out of curiosity. And they kind of, that same general topic that we're talking about, they call it just community engagement, which
Yeah.
I think is a nice broad way. Like, I don't think it's responsible to completely ignore the personal relationships that the director creates amongst the community, the staff, whoever. But I do see the point of, you know, obviously not wanting to get super personal and HR and all that stuff. But I like the way that they just have it on here, simply, you know, community engagement. Is it proficient? Is it
Exactly.
underwhelming? Like, it should be evaluated, you know. Anyway.
Yeah,
Oh, no, they definitely should be evaluated. Those are things we need to know, but not the specifics.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Not a specific issue or a specific person or any grievances. I just don't think that that's our place. I think there's a vehicle for that, and it's not ours. Because we're not talking about her personally. We're talking about her ability and success in the job that we want her to do. In running, we want the library to succeed. We want her to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
So what are the, you know, so how do we evaluate that? Absolutely what she's involved in. I'm talking about more personal, her between the staff. That's what I'm talking about when it gets to be confidential for each person that has ever held a job here.
Right. Well, and again, I'm reading this sample form, and it's, you know, there's a whole section for management and operations. It's broken into sections like the environment, human resources management, ethics and policies. You know, again, it's somewhat generalized. It's not saying, you know, does anyone not get along? It's not that kind of personal, but it still acknowledges that it's part of the job is, you know, management and development. Like development, something we've talked about a lot in the last couple of years with all the turnover, obviously bringing up younger, newer staff, younger in terms of service, not necessarily age. That should be part of it as well. That is a human resources factor, but I don't think we should leave that out.
Yeah, I'm not saying leave it out, Amy. I'm saying like human resources management. And we're not like, staff development education is encouraged. Is she doing that or not? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
So
Okay.
back to.
Not if she gets along with everybody or doesn't or someone.
No,
That's what I'm
it
saying.
sounded before, it sounded, you were saying, like, the way you were describing it before, it sounded like you just wanted to talk about like the building, not anything that was at all.
No, we're talking about I think it's
The building function
Right.
and staff function.
the success of the building is the
one category.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but I don't don't think you need to get into the weeds on every category. Just, I mean, one of the things that we look at, and I'm looking, this is the one from one of the Massachusetts libraries. The first thing you need to do is actually understand what the purpose of the evaluation is.
Exactly.
And the purpose of the evaluation is to provide the director with a clear understanding of what our expectations of her. And then for us, we want to ensure that the director and the board understand if our expectations of her are being met. And it's a formal vehicle between the trustees and the library. And if we have any concerns or any thoughts of the direction not being the way we like it, that would show up in the evaluation too. But the categories for her to deal with after staff are general public, elected officials, and the friends, and any individuals on the board of trustees. Those are, I think, all we need to evaluate, aside from the category of, what do we feel the general tenor of the building staff kind of is, but that's kind of in the staff piece. Other than that, I mean, I don't wanna have, from all the other evaluation stuff I read from the state, you don't really wanna have staff relationships with trustees. Any staff stuff that comes to us should be redirected back to the director.
Sure.
Because that's the human resources kind of piece that keeps filtering into this.
And I think it's a different thing, because, we're a town, we're a small town, we're a close town. There's 1 degree of separation. So it feels different. It feels different when that's to try to have a boundary with that. So, I mean, I think we have to, the things that we're asking have to be measurable. So how, we have to be able to find these things out. And I think looking at how each department's run, I mean, is there an issue in, is there one department? I don't think there is, but I mean, that's the questions we have to ask.
Well, do we want an evaluation that says, how's technical services? How's, children's room? How's, children's library? I don't think we get that deep into the weeds.
No, but
Very granular.
But we do have all that information, like it says, when you're, as a board member, when you're responding to this kind of form, you refer to the plan of service, so like our 1-year plan, our 3-year plan, board meetings, all the information we have, anything that's transpired in those in minutes, usage statistics, which we get lots of to look at as being, in a positive direction or not, and program results. I mean, so that's what we're given that's what we're presented at a board meeting. So that's what we have to ask if we want some more information, some kind of different information, we can ask for it if it's appropriate. She will give it to us, I'm sure. She or whoever is going to be using this form. But those things are measurable. I mean, I don't know how else to go about it.
Well, I guess I think we find 5 or 6 categories.
Yeah.
And establish what those are. I think there probably should be a preamble so the director knows what we're actually looking for and what the purpose of the evaluation is.
Yeah.
And here's our 5 or 6 categories, and then under those categories, maybe that's 2, 3 questions
Right.
under each category.
So I think there's probably a lot of crossover of questions that we were thinking about that can be in different categories. So let's try to come up with the categories that will kind of gel it down for us.
So I guess, the big picture, first and foremost, is how does the library function with the general public? Because, top of the list is the library's here to serve the community.
Right,
So first and foremost thing should be either the perception of the general public or how well the library serves the general public.
right. So this first one, and we can word this differently, more specifically to us, customer service and community relations.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. Do we want to say that differently? Does anyone have a more library way to say it, or is that okay?
I don't know why, but I don't love the phrase customer service. Like that sounds retailish to me. I like community relations. I'm scrolling a couple of samples right now to figure out a better way to say customer service. That's just me being picky, but
No, that's all right.
Library services. I mean, it's maybe a slightly more broad term to encompass.
I know what you mean, customer sounds like they're paying for something, and
Right.
well, they do through taxes, but.
yeah, it
I'm
just
sure
it just
everybody-
gives it's giving grocery
Well-
store kind of.
Effectiveness of library service in the community.
Effectiveness of what?
Library service to the community.
Well, we wanna do like, this one kind of compiles everything.
Okay.
So the services you get in the library and the service how you communicate or the community relations is to how much you meet their needs.
So community development.
Well, like some of the questions, some of the things they evaluate is level of patron satisfaction.
Yeah.
How do the patrons feel about how they're treated? Applications of policies that affect the public. Services are communicated to the public effectively. So that it will compile a lot that,
Yeah.
like we were talking last meeting about, like how are you getting information about the library out? Facebook, Instagram, website, is that efficient? So that is like, how are you servicing the public and how is the
Right.
public responding? Is that a good thing? Is that successful? Is that growing?
So community service. I mean, essentially, not in the sense of volunteer work, but
Yeah,
with the sub bullets being communication, programming,
Yeah.
outreach, diversity, maybe something along that line.
yeah,
Well,
looking to see what we said, what it used to say.
Yeah.
The budget ones are so much easier.
We could start with budget.
Let's start with budget. Well, you're right, though, this should come first.
Yeah,
because that's the most important thing that we're doing here.
Right. Like I think one sub point is communication, and that kind of encompasses the website, the social media or lack thereof, newsletter, etc. One sub point should be outreach, which I think encompasses, your farmers markets and your Chamber of Commerce meetings and the other meetings that she attends within the community. One I think is diversity is not the right word, but I'm trying to think of a way that sort of encompasses, working with the schools and the school librarians, serving the
Community inclusivity.
yeah, like we have the payphone for a reason. They do the palm cards with Wave, things like that. That there's sort of it's encompassing the sort of special services within the town. It's encompassing the children. It's a senior center. What am I looking for? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, you
Well,
want to reach
something
all of
for
the
everyone.
community, you want to reach the whole, range of the community.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I am saying diversity.
Right.
So you want community relations, but you also want patrons getting what they need. So patrons,
Yeah, I think inclusivity, I think was a good word. Is there something for everyone? Are we servicing all of the local population? We're doing things in programming in other languages.
Right.
Wakefield 101, reaching out to new residents, stuff like that. That's, the Zoom things that we did during COVID, all these things to help service different populations of town.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you measure it?
What was that?
How do you measure that?
Yeah,
I mean, I think you could ask that for a lot of,
I think you measure it with our perspective as trustees.
right?
That's how you measure it. So each individual trustee has a perspective as to how well those things are getting done.
Yeah,
Because you can't go out and, we're not gonna do a survey of every demographic in Wakefield to figure out if they feel like they're getting served. So it's your perspective as to how well we hit, or how well the library hits those points.
but I think,
Yeah.
well, we're not coming up with the points.
No,
So that's their job. So every time you hear that, and I mean, I can remember her saying in the past, like, well, when there's been issues about any kind of controversial, do we include it? She said, anytime anyone brings up an issue or an area that they want to explore, we do it. So I feel like, they need to get a handle on that. So we can see how many new and how many programs continue to outreach certain groups or certain interests, and how many come up that are added.
Yeah.
I hear about it, I was like, oh, this is great, I never really thought about the volume of stuff that they're doing in that respect, so that's something that we maybe pay attention to in the months ahead. So,
Right.
yeah, so
That's
I
one
mean,
thing
I
in-
think,
like if I'm filling out the evaluation form as a trustee and that's the section I'm filling out, then I'm thinking back to every trustee meeting, every director,
yeah,
packet I get. Okay, I know 6 months ago they started a Spanish speaking story time. Back in October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, they did the palm cards with Wave. Whatever. I can think back to the director packets and think, yes,
right,
she or he, whoever the director may be, is, performing these efforts of community outreach, you know, and base it on that. It's not like
Right.
measurable in terms of, a specific number, but I think it's measurable in terms of kind of common sense. Like we either see it or we don't.
And I think then there's things, because there's things that they do that I never would have thought of, that somebody was interested in that, so it's not just
Right.
personal interest, I don't think, it's they're finding out from people coming in and talking about it, which is exactly what would be too exhausting for me, I don't know about anybody else, but, yeah, how do we say that? So community relations is her going to different meetings or going to different groups to speak or to be part of, what are we
Yeah.
saying we want from
I mean, I think
patron?
I think then you're going to have levels of parameters or whatever, like where one's going to say, proficient, exceeds.
Right, but can we say not customer service, can we say patron,
I think
service?
community service, community outreach, community inclusivity, community.
But I think that's community relations,
Okay.
but I'm talking about the, like, specific, when it customer service, I feel like it's people who actually come and use the library.
Right. The
I think that
so patron.
we're giving people the opportunity, she's gotta be out there, we all gotta be out there.
Right.
But what about the people that actually come in here? What if, are gonna get a little bit more and are gonna get a little more individuality
Right.
of what they need?
Did I feel that my interaction with somebody at the checkout desk,
Yeah.
was pleasant and polite?
Right.
Did I get help from the children's librarian when I was looking for a specific book for my kid?
Right,
That's the
so
sort of thing
how,
that
what do
they
we,
will,
how do we label that? How do we head that?
I mean, yeah, patron satisfaction, I guess. But do they do regular surveys? I mean, apart from you emailing the library and say, oh, I had a great interaction today with the children's librarian. Is there a once a year survey that goes out?
Well, I think
to
when
the
when
library?
you when you see how many, like the reference, how many questions they answer, they say how many questions they answer a day or a week, I think that's measurable.
Yeah.
That the people are actually outreaching, how many people use the computers, how often they're used, how many hours of a library day are they used. I mean, those are the things that we can see, we're not wasting your time doing that. I don't know, it's a very tricky thing to do, but I think we can, come up with areas that we can see are going forward. You know, even the amount of people, we always look at the amount of people that are coming into the library on a daily basis, when the counters were wrong and now they're right.
Yeah.
Right, aren't they wrong for a long time? So do we think patron satisfaction? Patrons' needs, that's what,
Yeah.
That's what it is, and if we think of something better as we go through it, we can.
and we were talking about the individuals, so it, you know, I don't know what else to say, patrons something, patrons blank.
You know, active users, I mean, because there's patrons, but there are patrons who haven't been in the library in 5 years,
Right.
you know?
Well, there's some, you mean people that have a card and people that come in. But even so anyone who comes in, anyone who physically
Right.
uses the library, or uses the library online.
Is there a counter? Oh, not a countertop, but like is something counting daily people coming in? Obviously, if they check out a book, that's
There's a counter,
There's a counter at the front door.
There's front door
Those,
counter,
yeah,
that counts actually how many people come in.
come in and out.
I don't know if it does out.
we just bought those.
How did I not know that?
Yeah. I don't know, you must have been on a trip to some exotic wonderful place. I think we talked a lot about that because they weren't counting correctly. They weren't accurate, but now we have accurate ones.
Okay.
I think that was tied into the anti-theft thing.
It might be.
So
Was it when we put the
windows
glass
between
walls
the
up?
side door and the
Gates,
front door?
gates when you come in.
That, I don't know, yeah,
Okay.
the thing that looks like it's something you'd go through at the airport.
Security.
Yeah, right, but have you stolen a book?
Yes.
Device.
Then they put the
That might
things in the
fill enough
book
for
to
transit.
cut down on that.
So the rough category is community outreach, and then the bullet points.
Community
Well, you need to say
satisfaction,
community outreach and patron satisfaction.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not next to stone, but that's the overall idea.
Intent of.
Yeah,
we wanna
I mean, we
put
can-
that in that one category. How about this? How many categories do we want?
Well, I came up with 11, but I think that you sort of have squished them, you know, like you combined. As I was brainstorming.
it's 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you might have some subheadings.
Right.
But to that end,
I think you can have less areas and as many questions that you think you might.
well,
That
that
aren't
was my
repeated.
next point. How many questions do we want? You start getting
we
past
want to make-
25 or 40.
Right, we want to
Or
make, if
80.
we're doing it every year, we want to make it not a horrible, you know,
Right.
chore to everyone to get through. So you would think that probably, you know, aiming for 2 to 3 pages would hopefully be reasonable. And then having a separate page for goals, and then you could have a separate page for, because I think at the end of the day, you want some ratings, but also you want to be able to give some open-ended feedback, right, just comments that don't necessarily fit into something, and you want her to be able to give a chance for her to give any, you know, or the director to give any feedback, right, on what they think about this process. So, you know, I think for the questions, you know, you want to try and keep that, well, I mean, I even saw one that was a one-pager, now, I wasn't, it was impressive, it was impressive that it was on page, but I didn't love all the questions, I can share it with you guys, just so you can see it too, but, I mean, the categories I came up with was, you know, the relationship between the director and the board of trustees, library services, finance and budget, leadership and planning, one that was kind of a management, staffing, retention, HR, collaboration, something about developing and implementing policies and procedures, community presence / engagement, and intertown relationships, which kind of goes together, one about physical plant, building grounds, friends of the library, but again, you kind of put that in with the intertown relationships and professional development. So it was 11, but I've sort of broken it out a little bit. But none of it's nothing, you know, I think.
We want all these
crazy
things
from what
covered.
we've been,
We
right.
definitely want all
It's
these
just a
things
question of how
covered.
many main headings.
Right.
Can you squish it through, so.
So, all right, so we got patron satisfaction and community outreach. So what was your first one?
Oh, my first one was sort of the relationship between the director and the board of trustees, which I know you have.
So,
So board
yeah.
of trustee relationships is number 5.
Yep,
Because I do think, that's.
so we
to be
definitely
effective.
want that, we
Right.
definitely want that. And what was the next one that you had?
I had library services, but that was, I think, really sort of trying to encompass the
Yeah.
programming, the satisfaction, the things, some of the things that we were just talking about in terms of the users.
Okay, and then next,
Finance and budget,
Yeah, I think that one
Yeah.
would be easy.
yeah.
Yeah, that should be its own big broad category, right?
Absolutely.
That might have the fewest additional questions under that heading.
Right. And then one for sort of leadership and strategic planning. Just in
The
terms of-
strategic planning and leadership,
how do
From
we
us.
feel, that she is doing with implementing the strategic,
Our-
the plan?
okay,
the
so
plan.
under organizational growth, is
Right,
kind of overall, the first thing is libraries making progress on the long range. Cause we have a yearly plan and then the long range, 5-year long, yes.
Yeah.
So that would be in it, so that's ultimately the most important, is how is, in terms of how she's doing her job.
yes.
So is it successful? So we're kind of agreement on that, it's just a matter of what we call it.
Absolutely, right.
Um,
One of the things that we
so
disagree on.
finance, so organizational growth with all the things that she does and to make it successful.
Yeah.
Administration, financial management, right?
Yeah.
Board of trustees relationships, those are 3 definites.
Yeah.
do we have a?
Community relations, or however we're gonna say that,
General public community relations kind of thing.
and,
I mean, it may make sense to put that as a separate bullet point, so that we have our patron satisfaction separate to our community relations, just because I think there's quite a lot that will go under each one.
Also,
We
yeah,
might
on the
want to-
community relations, you're including elected officials and town administrator and other.
Yeah.
Other officials in town.
Yeah.
So is that under your community?
I think that would make sense to me, so.
It feels like that should be separated somehow, or I don't know if it should just
Right,
be
I think
bullet.
it's just a lot if we put it into,
Because when I think of the community relations that we were talking about before, I think that's all more patron related, community outreach type, and this, I feel like the sort of town relations, I would add that with, the town administrator, town council, FinCom, the friends, the board of trustees, more like professional relations. Like one's community, one's professional, if that,
Yeah, no, that's fine. I would break that out that way.
so what do you think the difference is, community relations?
community relations is the patrons, is the people who use the library, and then there's the professional relations, which would be like her going to the chamber meetings, her, going to FinCom and presenting in front of the town council. She's talked at town meeting, relationship with the board of trustees, relationship with the friends,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, I'm trying to thinking about everything that it would be under, yeah, makes sense.
so I guess that, sort of in your 5 bullet points, the physical plant, building and grounds, but I'm not quite sure whether that's just going to the administration side, do we think, and number 3, or
I
do
think
we want to?
physical plant is one,
Do we want to have its own category?
I think budget, and physical plant
Yeah.
are 2 categories that would be.
Well, financial
quite-
management
It's
is
quite
Sure.
discreet, yes.
financial management is gonna be the budget and everything,
Right.
how she's managing the money we have.
Yes.
So that's anything that does with money, I like that one,
Yes.
we like that.
Including the building, or is the building separate?
I think building and grounds kind of,
It's all, well, she has one budget that she does everything. So I think and that's, I think, the uniqueness of a job that I would want is that you're responsible for, here's your money, and you gotta make it work for all of these different things.
yeah, no, thinking through that, budget and grounds could be a subheading under finance.
Yeah, because that's how
How does she
Yeah.
integrate what the
manages it.
budget is into what she has for money and where does the building fit in
Yeah. So finance is the umbrella heading, and then
Yeah,
And
financial,
building management, budget management.
financial management, which is to take care of the building and everything else. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, that's what the budget does, right? She has it all
Right.
different,
So is that the category, financial management?
Yeah.
Okay.
because that's it, managing how to make the money go out, and
Yeah.
the money coming in. Right?
Yeah.
And how do you use it?
Yeah,
Right. I mean, you know, the building management stuff, pretty much everything that she does regarding the building costs us money. So,
right.
you know, whether it be the leaky roof or an improvement or new chairs or design.
Or like when she's always telling us, well, they think it's gonna last another 2 years, or they think it's 2 years
Yeah.
past when it's supposed to be used.
Yeah. And
So,
it all ties back into whether, you know, it's gift funds or our own budget or town funds or whatever. So I think that's all kind of very intermingled.
yeah, and some job I would not wanna have. I don't
Right.
do it, I don't do very well in my own house sometimes.
Here's what we need and here's how we're going to pay for it, kind of.
Yeah,
So I guess my question around professional development is that some of it's obviously to do with the staff's professional development, for her developing her own stuff, but also some of it's her professional development. So I guess I wasn't sure if we wanted to sort of break out the her professional development or sort of put it all into the HR and just have a sub question on that.
So professional development, is that gonna be how you groom the staff to stay in play and take higher jobs, i.e. like Megan?
So I think, yeah, so I
Starting with
think that's
something
a
else
part of,
and then having someone grow into higher positions?
yeah, that's like one strand.
As well as,
Over.
how few complaints we get from staff that maybe.
well, I think originally we were talking about almost professional relationships in terms of,
But I think that bleeds into the admin kind of stuff.
yeah, so that's more like an administrative, how she, right, an administrative professional. It's not like when I think of, professional, you know, like her taking courses.
Right,
We're
well, I
not
think,
gonna talk about that.
I mean, I think that, anyone you want, you know, to be leading your library, you want to know that they are keeping up to date, right, with the latest trends, that they are properly accredited, that, you know, that, you know, that they are doing some sort of professional development, right? So I mean, I'm sure was told us some of the things, so I think that's just it's probably just a, you know,
But we
one
also,
little piece.
right, but we
to-
do get that from what things she's joined, what's committee she's done, what's things she's gone to, so we're, yeah, so
Yeah, so I
that's,
just think it's something to make sure we don't lose.
Yeah.
You know, I don't wanna throw that baby out, you know.
yeah, no,
Just because I think it's useful to see that, yeah, we have a director who takes the career seriously, but is investing in, you know, in future
Right,
days,
right.
But yeah, I just wasn't sure if that needed its own piece or we folded it into one of, you know, subheadings.
again, it is very different when you gotta look at this every year, and the year's like half over, than when you did it every 3 years. Cause I don't know, it just seems different, we're talking about a short period of time relatively. So I don't know how many questions we're gonna need, or how often things are gonna come up.
Like, I feel like somewhere in there should be a line about like continuous learning.
Yeah,
Because that's both her own as well as the staff
Yeah.
underneath her. I mean, I think it covers professional development for both the director and the staff.
Well, that's kind of like a human resource part that I think is appropriate for us to
Yeah.
evaluate.
absolutely, right, you know, what are you doing to upskill your staff, to
Yeah,
Right.
make sure that they're properly trained and seeing a
Yeah.
career path that hopefully they can stay in for.
Yeah. If something happened to somebody tomorrow, is there someone on staff that can jump in and fill? Are we
Right.
cross training and all that stuff?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, not Dave is irreplaceable. So that's kind of the things in human resources, so do we wanna put, anything else with that?
Like,
So we're gonna put
Under the
community
broad term-
relations. We'll put community relations.
Yeah.
And we do, community relations and patron satisfaction. It's kind of intertwined, don't you think?
Well, so does that have a subheading now of her relationship with other town bodies? If you have that first heading? Is
No,
that
I
a
think-
Is that a subcategory?
I think the other town bodies could be under a human resources umbrella as well. I mean, you could either put it under the community one, or you could put it under human resources one that talks about the professional development and professional.
Or is that getting too in the weeds and there should be a separate category?
I mean, it's professional relationships. I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like that could go under, I think that could go under human resources with professional development. It's, are you, no?
Um,
I'm going for a 1 or 2 page evaluation here. So
yeah,
I mean, so are you looking for a category that says human resources?
yeah, we could have like, administration and human resources. How does she provide for her staff and what does she expect from them? So like, she's evaluating them. I mean, I'm sure, you know what I mean, so that's under how often she does that. Encouraging education. I don't know, adhering to policies or, I don't know how you say union, but personnel policies. So
Yeah.
so I mean, that's how we can look at her interacting with how she's managing the staff,
right.
their needs, and as well as the library needs, job descriptions, hiring people, so I think that's all that's her job in
Right.
So I think
Right.
that's okay to put that together. So we're
Yeah.
looking for a place to put, her interactions with the town. Her answering, is that right? Or
Yeah.
when we talk about how, the budgets and stuff like that, isn't that working with them?
I think it should be separate from budget.
But, yeah.
It is, but not so much budget stuff, because that would really kind of only be town council and finance. I mean, I don't think that.
So who else are we looking for her to interact with?
The Friends.
And the various other civic organizations in town.
The chamber, I think she's still part of the chamber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so town professional relationships, as well as like Noble,
So professional relationships,
yeah,
I think that works.
professional relationship, can we just say that?
Yes.
We have to put for library
I
purposes?
think shorter is better for a heading, and you can have.
Right, well, because I think, in a way you can have the heading, then we can
And then
have
you've got-
like a little couple of line description about, this is sort
Civic
of what we're
groups.
talking about, we
Yeah.
are trying to evaluate, professional relationships with, for example, the Friends, the Chamber, Noble, et cetera, right? We don't have to be exhaustive, but
Yeah.
I think,
You can literally say that and have like maybe 5 little bullets.
yeah, because I think like a little explanation, because if hopefully this evaluation is also used for a while, the people that are developing it might not always be on the board, so you want the people that are using it to sort of have that little bit of context around, oh, this is what we're actually trying to achieve. So if
Well, I
a
think
couple of
that was
sentences
a
of
lot of the
context-
confusion in
Right.
this year's
That was my
evaluation.
impression from hearing you guys
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But a little bit of context, heading, context,
You gotta
A few
give a little
questions.
direction as to what the question actually
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Because it feels like on the other evaluation, I was 40 years old, that really just, people read the same words and had 5 different answers and saw the question. 5
Yeah.
different
so
ways.
interesting.
Yeah, no, we definitely can do
Yeah,
that.
but a little.
I think the questions we ask them to rate, I think we're gonna have to really think about how direct those are. I think that's gonna be the more important thing, to make what's under each heading very clear.
Yeah. Is
this done? Is this not done? 0 to 150, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, either a 0 to 3 or a 0 to 5 scale is typically.
Yeah.
Like, and then not applicable because
Oh.
I just haven't seen that, or I just feel confident in evaluating it.
But I hope we don't have any of that. Because we
Right.
shouldn't be doing an evaluation, because a lot of them, there was a lot of answers that I don't feel valuable. I don't feel like I can evaluate that, and that's what we want to avoid. But that also, it has to be stressed to the whole board that these are the things we're gonna evaluate, so these are what you gotta be looking for.
Yeah.
So
But
you
also-
shouldn't, we shouldn't have any of that.
But yeah, I mean, at least we'll go through it with the whole board once we have our proposal, and then we can get their feedback of, well, does this
Yeah.
make sense, you know, if we were doing it tomorrow, would you be able to give an answer to each of these, or do we need to go back and you know,
Right.
look at that? Cause I think almost that's almost a valuable like mock exercise, once we have a draft, is like, oh, well, let's go through it and see, you know, can we actually come up with a routine that.
Yeah. And year to year, it's more, it is more like, if there's anything that's lacking, it just gives a new goal. It just gives a re-goal. It's not, it's not so much crushing that after 3 years, this is what we think, like, well, what do we do for 3 years? You know, which is really.
Why did you never say this, like, after
Yeah.
year one?
Why don't you ask the question back then?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of goals, that should be one, shouldn't goals be one of the big umbrellas?
Well, I would sort of put the goals at the end, so you have your questions, and then you have a whole, you know, sort of section for goals, and then a section for
Well-
comments and response to comments. Yeah, I would just have it as a separate section within the evaluation.
And the goals would be both the previous years and how they were met, as well as setting new goals for the following year?
Well, I think we're gonna go year to year. What are the goals for this year? Like under
Yeah.
organizational growth, how did we do? So I think that you talk like, you know, how does the 1-year plan look? How does the 5-year look? Is she addressing that? Is she addressing, you know, specifics? What were her 3 specific goals? How is she satisfactory on those? Is she outstanding? Because we're gonna have a limited amount of, I mean, I don't know how many goals she's had before, I think she had 2. We didn't like that they were so vague, so.
Right,
Well, over the 3 years, you know, I don't know.
yeah.
So I don't like, that's like the organizational growth, that's like the specific questions that really,
Right.
is she answering, is she meeting our standard for all these things?
Yeah, I don't love the whole idea of goals in general, because I feel like
Of
it just,
what?
the idea of putting goals on an evaluation anyway, like future goals, I feel like it begs for a vague answer.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know. I don't feel like for any profession you ever get the most realistic responses to that.
well, I think you're right, I think the goal has to be worded kind of, general. But then it's our job to say, okay, this is a general goal, so if we don't, it's saying, okay, I take that as I doing this. Or, you know, I see that a goal is needing this, those are things that we should be bringing up, meeting to meeting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we are supposed to work with her to come up with goals, which I don't think was ever done before, I think they just submitted them. And I think, you know, Sharon or Catherine goes by how the year went and what people were asking for. I do feel like both of them have always tried to give you what people ask for, but if you don't ask for it, you're not gonna know that we need that.
I just think the nature of the job, it's not like you're a, you know, a car salesman and your goal is going to be to double your sales next year or something like that. It's just the
Right.
nature of the job is like your goal is to keep the library running well. I mean, it's
But
almost immeasurable.
one of our goals could be, if we look at her, like what she's involved in, like, well, we think, what more can you do in the community?
Right.
Can maybe you need to be more visible.
Yeah.
So maybe
So that
goal
would
for
be
this, maybe goal for this year is, you know, get something off the ground with the friends in terms of fundraising to replace
Right,
blossoms / the library sale,
Right.
right? That's a very specific goal, right, that I think is very timely and
yeah,
reasonable, right?
yeah,
I mean, maybe
But-
there's a line, you know, comment section, a line at the end where the trustee filling out the evaluation suggests a goal. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe I low rated you on
Right.
this section, so therefore I think your goal should be to XYZ.
Yeah.
definitely, and I think that's why it should be made together.
Yeah.
That it should be, I don't know if it's us that would sit down, or that she would sit down as a session with everybody. That could be a little chaotic, but I mean, I don't know what would work.
Yeah.
But that is one goal, I'm sure that everyone's thinking of, like, you know, additional sources of income in a crazy world. What are we seeking? What are we seeking to make up for what we've lost? Although the Friends is still collecting books.
So,
Did you see that? I don't know where they're putting them, but they're collecting them.
Maybe they
Not
found.
here, Not here.
something you just said, when we put this together, draft form, we wanna sit down with Catherine and walk through it and see what her opinion of the evaluation is. Do we invite her to a personnel meeting to sit down?
yes, I think we do.
And walk through, say, hey, this is what we got, what do you think? Bearing in mind that she's the director and works for us.
Right.
So her opinion, I think would be valuable and maybe help tune something up, but I just think that that's maybe something that we should kind of have on the horizon
Well, I think
as we put this together.
So, and your question, Karen asked me a question this week about, you know, do we, well, how did you put it, do we talk to her about, because the current employment contract says that she's evaluated for 3 years and whatnot. So I did talk to Catherine about that, and she said that's not necessary, because if we're not going to do that, or we're doing something different, we have to let her know by October 30th.
Right.
So we already went to a meeting and said that we were gonna do a yearly, we intended to do a yearly evaluation, which she's fine with. And that we were working on this new form. So she said that she can do that, but if we present something to her meeting, she doesn't have to agree with it.
Correct.
She can say that this is not appropriate for her.
Yeah.
So she could do that, and then we can use the old one, or we have to continue. So, yes, I think we should ask her when we have a much more concise feeling of what she thinks. Is there something we're not asking that is very important to your job?
Yeah.
You know, but,
That's a great question, so
Yeah.
when you kick that off.
because we're trying to,
I think we should
figure out
definitely
what
get
our
her.
job is.
I think we should definitely get her input, but at the same time, kind of like what Chris was saying, I think, we don't have to follow her input.
Right.
Yes,
But
You know what I mean? Because
she doesn't have to accept that this evaluation is gonna be pertinent to you.
right. Because again, we're doing this for the future directors too, not just the one that we have now that excels at
Right.
everything.
But the next, we're changing hers, so in the next employment, you know, it would be this, if we voted on it. But
Yeah.
she can reject what we do.
Yeah.
And we would have to rewrite or relook or go back to the
Or
old
we would have
one.
to say, that's too bad, we're glad we got your input, but this is what we're doing.
We can't do that. She has to come to a consensus that she will accept this change in employment.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry,
So the
I forgot
existing-
that piece.
So the existing
I'm
employment
just thinking of
agreement,
the trustee role in general.
You're saying just because we're within the middle of a contract, that's why she has to accept it. So we could, if
Yes.
for some reason she doesn't, we could still just set this form off to the side that we all agree on, theoretically.
The old form.
Save it for the end of her 3-year term and put it in at the new contract.
Correct.
yeah, so the only thing that I noticed reading through the employment agreement that she currently has is that, so the agreement's ending, at the end of May or June of next year, 2026. So we have a deadline of literally like the end of this month, 30th of October, to give her written notice if we want to either not renew the contract, which obviously we don't want to do that, but if we want to make any changes to the contract, you know, sort of as it rolls over, we have to give her written notice now. So if we want to change her job description, which I think at least we should look at, because it's 2017, you know, it's 8 years. And the performance review, we just need to give her written notice before the 30th to say we want to do that. So personally, I think we should do that just to give ourselves some leeway that, hey, we're reviewing this stuff, we've talked about it already a little bit, but just to be formal, because this is a contract, we want to fulfill the terms of the contract, which is giving you written notice that the trustees are in the process of
I think-
reviewing the
I don't think it has, I don't think we need to do that, and I don't think we should do that. Because because we're not touching the contract.
No, it's for the next contract, though, because the contract rolls over, right? The contract essentially says, I literally have
The contract rolls over till 26, and then we're not stopping her contract.
No,
And when we come up with a new contract, it's gonna be a lot more meetings.
so it says no later than October 30th of 2025, either party should provide notice in writing to the other of their desire to amend this agreement upon its expiration. Failure of such notice indicates the intention of the parties to renew the existing agreement for a successive 3-year period prior to its expiration. So if we want to amend it, we just need to give her written notice that we want to amend it, and we would amend it because we're probably gonna review her salary, right?
No, I think her salary's already set for 3 years,
For
right?
3 years, but if we don't give her notice, then, we're just gonna renew the existing agreement. So if we want to change the agreement, which references the exact job description, the date of, right? It references this performance appraisal evaluation instrument, right? So that's two things that we're definitely changing.
What two things, we're
We're changing
coming
the
up with a
annual
new
evaluation.
annual
Right.
evaluation, but we already discussed that at the meeting.
Yeah, but we haven't put it in writing to her.
Well, we put in the minutes of a meeting and she wants to do that, so
Right,
why?
But, okay, so me as an HR professional, I love documentation because that is how you formalize things, right? That there's no miscommunications around, oh, I misunderstood this, I thought you meant that, right? Dear Catherine, as per our, employment agreement dated X, we are giving you written notice, prior to our deadline of October 30th, that, we plan to amend this employment agreement upon its expiration, and we are in the process of figuring out exactly what that looks like in a nice formal way, right? That's literally all we have to do to give ourselves a bit of wiggle room between now and the end of this agreement, right, the end of June 30th, 2026, to be able to change the performance evaluation instrument, right, the form that we're using, to change it to an annual one and potentially look at the job description. Because the job description is referenced, right? It says, we agree to employ the director, here we go, and she will faithfully perform the duties of the library director as set forth in the job description dated February 15th, 2017. So every time I do a performance evaluation, I get the job description up, right? And that's something that I go through with the employee, because things change over years, right? So over 8 years, there must have been a few things that have changed, that at least we want to give ourselves some wiggle room to look at, to review. No,
I don't-
am I
I
completely
disagree.
off base?
I don't think we need to change the job description, because I think the job description, absent 100 years, is still the same. I can agree with that, maybe we do need to give a notice that we're gonna do an annual evaluation, but I'm not sure the trustee evaluation is a formal contract evaluation. I think those are kind of two different things.
So I mean,
Because the annual evaluation of her 3-year contract, I think is a different evaluation than the annual trustee evaluation of a building.
Because the annual value, if we do it annually at 3 years, that's just a working evaluation of this is what we think's working, not working, where we wanna go, work, goals and whatever. I don't think it's the same thing. It's not affecting her salary, it's not affecting her hire. It's information on how to be better or more, strengthen things, not necessarily change. I mean, it's not goal-oriented, is for success, not the library's success, not her personal success. So I don't know who came up with the job description of the library, but I'm sure the trustees didn't even do that.
No.
I think that's probably
I don't-
through the town. We don't pay her, they pay her.
Right,
but we are responsible for hiring her and her replacement, so
Yes,
the
we
job
are.
description.
Yes, we are.
So the job description is something that the trustees should
should,
be
that's
responsible
a
for.
separate issue.
Well, she doesn't work for us though, she works for the town.
She's paid for the town, but we
She
hire
doesn't
her
work
and
for us.
the agreement is with us. The agreement does not reference
She doesn't
The
give,
agreement doesn't reference the town administrator in the slightest. I mean, this is what I've got of Catherine's shed, right, she shared with me when I came on, so, so I assume all of you have access to the same document, right? Like, the agreement is by and between the board of trustees, and Catherine, right? There's a bunch of other words in the middle of it, right, of where we are the board of trustees of, but it's the board of trustees and Catherine. The town administrator does not come into this employment agreement, does not come into the job description, does not come into the evaluation.
I think they come into the job description. Because ultimately she's a town employee.
She's paid by the town,
Yes,
but it actually says somewhere that she's not even under the.
and we have to justify
There we go.
her salary when we negotiate her salary with the town.
Under benefits, it says the board and the director recognize the director is not covered by town of Wakefield employment manual. However, by mutual agreement, they're entitled to the benefits of the employment manual. So that very much says to me, she's not a town employee, she's employed by us, and this is the agreement that
We had to negotiate,
She's not,
we
no,
negotiated
it's not, it
with,
doesn't work that way.
and they say that, but, you know, we negotiated with the finance committee.
Yep.
The board of trustees negotiated with the finance committee over her salary. Because the finance committee had to recommend to town meeting that we pay her.
Yeah,
So the town had to vote to pay her.
So the
Yeah,
town
She's a
voted.
town employee, it is certified, she doesn't want work for us.
And I agree that, well, she can be both.
right,
Yeah, but we don't,
She works for us, but we don't pay her.
exactly. Well, we as trustees don't have our own source of income to
We
pay her, right?
we don't
We do
pay
it
her,
through
the
the town.
town pays her, but she works at our direction. Two separate things.
right, but so what is her connection to them? She's still a town employee. Even though she's under the direction of us, just like the school committee.
Yeah.
She's under an
She's a town
elected
employee.
board.
Only by mutual agreement, interestingly. I mean, this is a very interesting 5-page document, which I think we all should be truly honest.
Yeah. But we couldn't say, you know what, we're gonna give Catherine a 40% raise this year.
Well, no,
And tell the finance committee, too bad, she works for us.
no, because we don't have.
Because they're never gonna fund it.
That's not how that would work, I agree. But, you know, the ins and outs of some of these terms, right? You know, it says if the agreement's renewed one or more times, future evaluations will be conducted between January 1st and March 30th for the second year of each such renewal term. So if we're changing it to an annual, like that's another thing that we need to change in this. So
But when her last contract, we've been around for a few of them, is negotiated with the town, not us.
No, it's negotiated with us.
And then what, then we presented it to the town?
We presented it to her. And she agreed. And then we had to present it to finance. That had to be sent to
That was
finance.
the order, then we sent it to finance.
Yeah. And then they said no, and then we
Right.
presented again and again and again, and then it went through.
that sounds fun.
But the part that we're presenting to FinCom, that was just the salary part, right? That's, I mean, they're not
Yeah.
necessarily, they're not
They-
reading the ins and outs of 5 pages. Like
No,
FinCom
it's
doesn't have a
just-
say in, okay, you have to evaluate her once a year or anything else other than the salary, right?
She just has
we-
to agree to or disagree to that.
Right, we as trustees have to, you know, decide on this, and I don't know if we get Tom Mullen as the lawyer, I mean, given it's a formal contract to review it, you know, would make sense to me. But just reading this, there are certain things that we want to change, and there is a process for changing that, and that will see if we can remove this by the end of October 30th of 2025, which is in like 15 days. So, I assume that we should, if we agree, discuss this with the board as a whole, which would make sense at a board meeting, apart from that we're not having a meeting, so can we try and get a mini meeting before or after the social bit? Because I just feel like this is something that is gonna slip by, and I don't want that to bite us. is my professional.
Well, I'd asked Catherine's opinion about it,
Yeah.
and she had no issue with, she was encouraged and wants to change the evaluation, which is part of why we're doing it, or we would have never started that. She didn't think that was necessary, and so I just don't think I really don't think it's necessary. Where if she decides that she looks at the document and she doesn't want to do that, we just go back to the regular way until next year. And then, when you're renegotiating the whole thing, and we can try to put it in place then.
Right, but the way this is written, if we want to amend it before it renews, if we don't give her notice, then, we indicate that our intention is to renew the existing agreement. That's exactly what it says. So we just have to give her a really simple little notice that says, we wish to amend this. Here it is in writing. And yeah, like nothing is gonna change unless she agrees to it, for review, in 2026 spring. But I just feel like we have this agreement, and
But
the number of times I have seen perfectly good relationships, go sour when you really don't expect it, just makes me very, I might sound paranoid, but putting things in writing when there's a contract just makes a lot of sense to me. That's just my brain and my experience. I've been in HR 20 years, I have a master's degree in HR, so take that as you will. I'm here to provide my best advice to you guys. That's all I'm trying to say. I protect
Any
my
discussion?
We can have to probably look at that. I don't really have issue giving Catherine notice that we're amending it, if that's part of that piece, but.
I just don't see why. We discussed it openly at the whole meeting. And it was agreed upon then that we're doing this. So she has noticed, she sees that we're doing this, she knows that we're doing this. So I just don't think it's worth trying to have a mini meeting.
No, I agree with that.
Well, then
No,
we can't do it anyway, because we've already talked this to death, in my opinion, with the whole committee
So
because
I
of
guess-
the last year's thing.
I guess I would say my opinion of notice is we gave her notice by having it in the minutes of the meeting. That would be the argument for notice. You've got notice and, you may not agree with that being sufficient notice, but I think that can function should it become an issue with this contract, that you actually got notice in the minutes of our meeting that we were changing the evaluation process.
I mean, it could be about a 3-line email.
I think the last year's evaluation process was very confrontational. And I think that we're trying to avoid that. And I think that it was in general agreement with Catherine and every single person on the trustees that a new document would be beneficial to the library, to Catherine, and to the trustees. So I don't really feel like we are changing her employment agreement. I think we're trying to make progress, and if we miss the fact that we're going to do this year, then we do something informally to get that information. We can do it informally and not a formal evaluation if we come up with something and still want those answers. So, it's just not formal. I just oppose, I think we're halfway through and we're trying to get through. I disagree. If you wanna bring it up at a meeting, we can, but it's not gonna be before the 30th.
It's just a time sensitive.
Right.
So. I don't know, Amy, what do you think?
I mean, I would always err on the side of, cover your butt. So I'm trying to think again, not Catherine specifically, but any director, worst case scenario, say we do the evaluations in January or, end of year, beginning of year, and maybe they go awry. And maybe she dislikes one of the evaluations for some reason. Who knows? Somebody goes rogue. in that case, I would hate for it to become an issue that, well, my contract says you couldn't even do this evaluation or something like that. Like it, not that any of this is likely, and yes, she knows we're doing this, and we all agreed that the form that we used was horrible, and we all wanted it rewritten. Um, but I guess just in the general sense of what if, I
Right.
wouldn't I wouldn't
That's,
mind, sending an email to Tom Mullen and maybe say, hey, are we covered here? Like she agreed to it in a meeting, that meeting has minutes, that meeting is recorded, blah, blah, blah.
sure, yeah.
Are we covered just in case she comes back in February because somebody gave her an unfavorable evaluation? And here we are going against the
My
original terms.
recommendation to the general committee to be that we wait and that we don't try to, we don't have to include this year. We don't do that this year. And that's my stance. I don't think it was ever an agreement that we were changing any of that. It's not that formal. She's going to agree to it, we're going to agree to it. We're probably not going to make it this year anyway, with the rate we're going. Because we didn't get very far in one meeting. We only have 5 meetings that we were gonna pull it all together. So I would say we just go to the next meeting, which is November, and we say that we're gonna keep working on this, but it's not possible to do it this year.
Okay, but that,
I don't think it's necessary to push it this year, if that's the case that we're gonna have. I think, I totally disagree with it. If we were gonna do that, we should have brought it up, last June, that we were gonna change her employment agreement.
I don't think we're changing her employment agreement.
Right.
And I don't think we need to give her notice, and something she's aware of.
I would argue we gave her notice and she agreed to it in minutes of our last meeting.
Right.
I would argue that's notice.
But I mean,
And consent.
but until 2 minutes ago, the plan was that we were going to do this new form in January, right? Like,
Yes,
I understand now you're saying,
But I thought we were gonna have 5 people giving their opinion, and we were gonna be able to narrow down the headlines a lot quicker than this. So I think we're gonna move slow, and we're getting distracted and not really in the working document. So if we're gonna, that's a possibility we won't. We're gonna have to meet more times if we cannot discuss any of this outside of this room. We can't discuss in email or any of that because of open meeting law.
right,
You know what I mean? So we would have to have physical meetings, which.
you're right, which
till
we've
the end
already
of the year,
planned out.
We got 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, well,
I mean, didn't we plan out the 5 dates with the thought process that we were going to be doing this new evaluation in January?
yes,
That was
but
why we
after the first 2 meetings, I'm not sure that's possible, is all I'm saying. So we're reaching for that. We're not sure, we said we weren't, from the very beginning, we're not sure how quickly this is gonna go.
Okay. If it does go quickly, and we do decide that we want to roll this out come January, practice round or unofficially or whatever we're going to call it, is it possible, and I don't know if you know this, Karen, from an HR standpoint, to can you put like an addendum on a contract just to have it in writing that, without
Yes.
rewriting, without reinventing the wheel here, can you just add an addendum that,
You can add a time period difference.
just something saying January 2026, we've changed evaluation forms as an unofficial practice, whatever we want to call it, we're going to try out this new form before we roll it into a future contract.
Yeah, as long as she agrees, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, she
Right,
would
but I'm
have
saying,
to-
again, like
She still has to agree to it. She always had to agree to it, whether
Right.
she had noticed or not.
And my argument would be she already has agreed to it because she didn't like the form either.
Right.
So,
That's what I mean. I feel like
I'm just trying to find a
I
middle
think-
ground between she agreed to it in a meeting versus do we need to rewrite a contract? Can we make a middle ground and say we just add an addendum to a contract? Something simple to make
well, I
it.
think that's what we were intending to do, yes.
Okay.
I don't think we need to give her notice. I think she already knows. I
I
think we
agree.
all agreed. I don't think there was anyone that disagreed us not to work on this. With the hope that it would be given in January.
So given that we're 2 meetings done, do we want to come back at our next meeting with 5 or 6 categories each and some kind of questions to walk through and approve or disapprove.
Right, I mean, I think we sort of have narrowed down our categories, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
we've
feel like we got a
that
good
far.
outline.
You know, we talked quite nicely about the first one, sort of the, you know, the patron services satisfaction, you know, so.
Yeah.
I think that's good progress. But yeah, you know, if we kind of think about what we would put under the next categories, that would definitely,
Yeah.
you know, help us bring that together, for the next meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll send out the categories and that we agreed on, and see if there's more, then we'll have to add them after.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I'll send
I would
out the
like to,
ones that we agree on.
So send out whatever we kind of came up with, 6 or 7 or 5 or 7,
I think it was 6, but
okay? And,
nice even number.
and we can fill in some bullet points or questions under each category, send them back. Does that?
No, I
Or do
think,
you think we just come back with, okay, we established 6 categories. Now we're gonna come back next meeting and get through 6 categories of
Yeah.
what I think our questions are
well,
under the categories.
well, my intention was that we have, we have 5 or 6 categories and everybody take a category after we agreed on what it was and come up with, so that they're champion that one.
Okay.
And they're running number 1, they're running number 2. But we all have to do them, if we're gonna come up with the 5 or 6 categories, we all have to say, what do we want included in this categories? So we take one at a time, and somebody champions it, and we decide that meeting.
Sure.
Maybe that will go quicker, maybe it won't, maybe we won't have we will find we don't have all the categories covered, but let's see, I think less is more. I think we need to do minimum categories. And what we really, thinking about the library, not the individual, of what information we want to get, what opinions we want to get from the trustees. And then the trustees still have to, approve it anyway.
yeah,
So it may or
we
may
don't
not.
even really have an October meeting anyway, so.
Right.
Pardon me?
The trustees don't even have an October meeting anyway.
Right, well, that's
So.
why we're not gonna get approval to do a notification before.
Well, again, I still argue she got notification and consent.
Right,
So, yes, about one very specific thing, right, about changing the form and changing it to annual, but if we want to broadly be able to amend that contract instead of just because essentially it sounds like it auto renews, right? Unless we do kind of just the way it's written, it just sounds like it pretty much auto renews as it currently is. So I just think that we give ourselves wiggle room if we put, a couple of lines in an email saying, as per your contract.
You gotta have a meeting to do that.
Right,
You
which
can't-
is why I was trying to suggest.
Half an hour. I'll still argue that she got consent and she got notification and consent. and
Right,
it's
for
in our
those two
minutes.
specific things, right?
Right,
Yes, but the employment contract covers more things that potentially we
so
should
we're
at
not
least.
doing her employment contract.
Not now, no, but, okay,
That's
could
what
you
it
just
is.
read it, please?
Karen, it's not our decision, it's not our decision.
No,
I mean, I think if you feel very strongly about it, you can contact Jeff. We won't get a meeting before in the end, and I just don't feel like it's necessary at this time, but you can, I'm not the president of, we're talking to the vice president over there, you're still the vice president, right?
it just says the failure of such a notice indicates the intention of the parties to renew the existing agreement for a successive 3-year period prior to its expiration. So this 15-day window is now what we seem to have come against, because, I think I read this initially and, I was like, oh, that seems like a long way in the future when it was April, right? And then suddenly you're reading it again because I was trying to look this, based sort of on our conversation from last time around, like, oh, is their job description actually changeable? No, it's not, right? You read these things and suddenly, this is a very timely to me, discovery, and maybe everyone else knew already, but reading the contract is a very legal.
Will be informal then, but I think we gave sufficient notice, is that you? That's you.
No. I didn't think so. See it in the phone? There's,
Oh, isn't that fabulous?
I had a 6S, Amy. I had a 6S phone.
Oh, what?
My phone was a 6S, an
Oh,
iPhone 6.
oh, I'm an Android person.
That's quite a while ago.
Okay, and so I had to get a new one. So I went without one for 11 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and I was very sad to let it go, to be honest.
I was just thinking mine's 2 years old. It's time for a new one. For
11
no
years.
reason. It still works. It's just,
And I waited a week to get the purple, but I digress.
um,
What does everyone want to do? We really don't really have a vote in this, but
yeah.
I don't think it's our place to do it. I don't think it's necessary. I think if you feel strongly about it, then
I'll talk
maybe
to
Jeff.
Jeff, I'll talk to Jeff,
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't vote for it if they do have a meeting, so. I think she knows. I spoke to her,
Yeah.
she's not concerned.
I mean, I lean, if it came down to a vote between the four of us, I lean with Karen on this one. I don't see a reason not to cover our butts just in case, why
I
not?
don't think it's our job, so it's not something that we need to talk at the subcommittee about.
Okay.
I mean, it's not something we can decide, and
no, I wouldn't
I
say we
don't
can
think-
decide, but as a person on subcommittee, I assume that we look at contract.
well, I've been doing the personnel subcommittee for many, many years, and I don't believe that we should be doing this, but that's my opinion.
So do we want to, I know we've got
Don't
our
think
next
this is our
meeting.
place to change your contract right now.
Oh, God, no, not, I literally do not want to change it right now, I want to give us the wiggle room that we could if we wanted to. That is literally all I want to do, right? Legally cover us to give us the wiggle room if the trustees as a whole decides we want to before it renews, right? That is literally all I want to do.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that.
Well, I said we never were gonna go past 90 minutes, I think it's 6 o'clock. The next meeting, I'll send out what I think we agreed on. No discussion, just do, take each thing. If you have, we have 6. So let me think about what we should do about separating them.
This will be in the minutes, right?
Yeah, we don't have to do minutes because we're recording. We can do minutes
okay.
ourselves.
I'm sorry, I thought Karen was taking minutes. Okay.
I was trying to.
She had to last time because we didn't have audio visual.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
So she can, but
I have a few notes that might not be the most comprehensive.
yeah. I mean, I think we have to submit these notes from last meeting to them, but other than that, you don't have to do it.
Do we need to vote that we take that through or?
Yes. Did anyone have any changes to the notes that we sent out from last meeting?
No.
I did not.
So, motion to accept,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And we can raise our hand. You can raise your hand, we don't have to call out names anymore.
So I've got October 27th is our next meeting at 4:30.
It's a Monday.
Right?
Yep,
Okay. Just to make sure.
same time, same place, they're all booked
Where are the 27th? Yeah.
here on the 27th. All their, they have the dates, so they are submitting them each time for an official meeting.
I'll try to be there in person. I currently share a car with someone, so
Someone? Who's taking your
he's
car?
now at marching band with my car, so.
Guess not your
I
husband.
saw him in the children's section doing his picnic
Yes.
on Friday.
Alright.
Well, yeah, he was there working, so
Yeah.
our schedules did not align for this meeting
Yeah.
with the shift.
He probably doesn't know who I am, so I didn't say that, but I recognize him.
Okay, any opposition to ending the meeting?
No.
All those in favor?
I
Anyone know how to turn the meeting off?
I know how to leave it, but I don't know how to turn
You're,
it on.
you're in the big screen, so I think you should know how to turn it on.
I can just hit the leave button and see you guys later.
Yeah,
All right,
do it.
bye, Amy.
See you next Wednesday. All right,
Oh,
bye.
no, it's Monday. Bye.